All right, Lindsay, what's in your lens today?
Let's talk about it. So, people are furious with House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries right now. On the Joy Reid show, he refused to say the words abolish ICE, even as frustration with the agency is at a boiling point. Host Wajahat Ali came armed with facts, citing Cato Institute polling showing 65% of people taken by ICE had no convictions and 93% had no violent convictions. So he wanted to know why tax dollars are being used to support this. Here's the exchange.
What you're telling us is you want our taxpayer dollars to pay for a lawless masked armed agency to continue terrorizing our cities. And I'm trying to figure out how you, as a leader, can be telling Americans that their taxpayer dollars should be going to ICE.
I don't understand anything that you just said.
I spoke English.
I don't understand anything that you've just said to me when I've made clear that taxpayer dollars should be used to make life more affordable for the American people, not brutalize or kill them. That's the whole reason we're in this fight.
Ali pressed again.
That's
So
the whole
abolish
reason
ICE.
why
You agree
we are
with me,
voting.
Joy? Abolish ICE.
That is listen. I'm going to use the language that I want to use. You can use the language that you want to use.
That answer lit up social media. But here's the nuance. ICE's brutal tactics are unpopular. So is border insecurity. Voters can oppose lawless enforcement and still want order at the border. Both things are true. Right now, Democrats are holding up DHS funding to demand oversight reforms. Funding has expired, triggering a partial shutdown. As you know, some parts of DHS are squeezed. ICE and CBP are not, though. They're flush with funding from last year's One Big Beautiful Bill. So there's a bind Democrats are in. They want to curb ICE's excesses without sounding like they're walking away from enforcement altogether. The killings of Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy in Minneapolis were horrific. It was all foreseeable. It reflects an enforcement approach that rewards escalation over restraint. And yes, moments like that make people demand dramatic action. But slogans and strategy are not the same thing. Slogans like defund the police or abolish ICE don't connect with the voters Democrats need in purple and red districts. It almost seems like Democrats are walking into the trap set by the president and his advisors, giving Republicans the opportunity to label them as extreme, while ICE's responsibilities could be reassigned. With Democrats in the minority in Congress, the focus has to be on what's realistically achievable right now. That's the political reality. There is a serious argument here. Abolish those abuses, end mass squads, and unaccountable force, and opaque detention systems. Tie funding to transparency and professional standards. Make enforcement lawful, targeted, and humane. That's not softness, that is governance. Americans want accountability without cruelty, enforcement without lawlessness, a system that works and respects rights. The question isn't whether ICE should exist in theory, it's whether it can operate within the bounds of the law and public trust. And if Democrats want to win the power to change it, they have to make that case carefully and convincingly to the country they're trying to lead.
Well, I don't know if Hakeem Jeffries is the man for the job. You seem to think so.
I mean, a lot of people have criticized him, Chuck Schumer, as, not being bold enough and taking firm stances. I think they're trying to straddle.
A lot of people, Democrats, they hate their leadership.
Well, yeah, I think they're trying to straddle what the party looks like to them historically versus what it looks like the party is doing by itself. And so that would require probably more on ears to the ground, listening to people, because we looked at Mamdani, but remember Hakeem Jeffries was one of the last people to endorse Mamdani. That's not his type of Democrat or politics, is what he said without saying it. And so somebody like Mamdani probably would be all over the abolish ICE conversation, maybe hesitatingly because he brought up defund the police and now kind of walked that back. But I think that there's a careful way to acknowledge what people are saying about what they want to actually abolish is that ICE breaking the law in any way or unlawful behavior that's not criticized.
They're always trying to sanitize slogans that to me are very simple. When people say abolish ICE, I think they want to eliminate immigration enforcement. I think they want no enforcement of immigration.
That can't be true to you because like we talked about, under Obama, immigration was enforced probably more heavily than under President Trump. And he was one of the most celebrated
Obama.
Democrats of all. No, he still is. I don't know many left people that hate Obama right now.
You don't know many left people.
No, I think the
In all due
majority,
respect.
the majority still really likes Obama and thought that he was a great president. From my perspective, I don't know. Maybe we're in two totally different circles.
Of
But if
left people?
of left people still enjoy Obama. Do right people all of a sudden love him? I'm confused.
I'm not. No. Moderate, like liberal elites love Obama. I'm not talking about liberal. I'm meaning people of the left.
You talking about like
They-
Bernie Sanders doesn't like
Yes.
Obama?
Well, Bernie Sanders is a savvy political leader, but I mean like commentators on the left.
Savvy is the exact word I
Used to
want
be a lot of
lean
them on this
into.
show. We used to cater to that perspective more because we had more viewers watching of that ideological bent. So I learned a lot about them despite not having much in common with them. They do not like Obama.
Well, I'm one of those people who completely disagree. Not going to hear a bad word about Obama from me at all. Not once. Period. So we just disagree, but that's the variety. All the drama in MAGA, I'm sure you can have one person that enjoys Obama and several people that don't, right? There's a variety of different thoughts and processes, but it's really about the policy. And so
The
that's
party's
it.
also moved further to the left since the Obama year.
Well, that's why I said that.
Much further.
That's what I think. But we have people that are rising stars, like Gavin Newsom is considered a rising star in the party. That's trying to play the middle, trying to talk with Republicans actively on his podcast and be somebody who's seen as level-headed. Then we have a rising star like Mamdani, who's not running for president, but AOC, who might run for president, who is just like Mamdani.
It'd be a lot of
and
fun to
aligning
watch
herself.
her.
So this is going to be interesting.
Walk to the nomination, getting no pushback whatsoever from Democratic primary voters because that's actually what they want.
Well, we saw
They
that
want
when
an
Bernie
AOC.
Sanders walked to the nomination, he got a lot of pushback, and then Biden ended up winning the presidency. So you can't really critique something if it actually worked for the Democrats. I don't think that that was the right move to make. I do think that Bernie probably could have won that, but no one believed that
I
type
think
of
Bernie
policy.
could have won in 2016.
Yeah, in 2016. He did.
Not sure about 2020.
In 2016 is what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. Oh no, again, no. I think he could have won in 2020.
I don't know about that. In 2016, I think he would have won. It was just Michigan, Pennsylvania. He had stronger support than Hillary in those states. 2020 is messier. I don't know.
Well, the point is, I think that you have to be strategic as a politician. We just talked about how President Trump spent his entire life on the campaign trail talking about one thing and then came into office and allowing his administration to do something else. Politicians know that a lot of it is communication and how you express the ideas to the public. And if you go out there screaming, get rid of law enforcement or get rid of immigration enforcement, and people take it on its head and don't dissect the conversation at all, then that does not really resonate with the average person that would like to be able to pick up the phone and call law enforcement or the cops or anything in that situation. So we have to just be realistic about what it looks like to win a
eliminating
national
law enforcement is an appealing
election.
national winning idea.
Right. So maybe that's what Hakeem Jeffries is thinking about. Like I said, Democrats don't even have the power in Congress to do too much. So they're at where they are, but they might win
They're very fortunate in that way to be constrained and being able to do anything.
They might win in the midterms. But if you
And then
keep
they'll start doing
screaming
all
one
sorts of popular
slogan
things.
that kind of to me is falling into the trap that Republicans want them to, they might not win in the midterms. And then here we are with no gains. So that's my biggest concern.
Right. I suspect, as it seems to be you're conceding, that most Americans do want some level of immigration enforcement. They want it to be a little bit more particular than the Trump administration has signaled recently.
No, they want it to be more humane. They don't want Americans to die like they have under the Trump administration.
Right.
Yeah.
They want law enforcement, but nobody to get hurt ever in any context.
Ever.
Okay.
No, the current
people
administration.
don't
There's an
want the
investigation going
ramifications of the
on.
things they
There's
say.
no ramifications. Did the enforcement abuse their authority or not? That's what we're looking into. Is active investigations into that. They don't want authority abuse, just like you wouldn't want local cops abusing their authority. And we review those cases as well when that
Right,
may
but
or
we
may not
just- I mean,
happen.
we keep coming back to this, but when you send in the police nationally to an area where they're getting no logistical support and there's massive opposition from a professional protest movement that has been trained to block and obstruct their proceedings and to not follow police orders, that is why someone's
And
going
Governor Walz is saying that's not true, and so are the people who run the corrections department saying we have allowed you to come in here and do the jobs you've asked.
The
Why are you
protesters
here?
aren't working to get in the way
They're
of their
blowing
operations.
whistles. Is that obstructing justice? They're blowing whistles.
Okay,
and
but
telling people
when
ICE
they
is in
said
the
get out of the
neighborhood.
car, she drove off.
They're blowing whistles and
So
telling
she was
people
not
ICE is
following
in it.
police
So
instructions.
explain Alex Preddy then. He deserved to die. Again, we're going to go back to
Nobody
this
deserves
conversation.
to die. I didn't say no. Don't put words in my mouth. I did not say deserves to die. The question is whether the shooting can be justified because the officer felt a legitimate threat to their life. I see the argument in the Renee Good case. I have trouble seeing the argument in the Alex Pretty case. Sure.
So that's what America feels too. That's
Well,
kind
yeah,
of-
people have every right to be upset about it. I was upset about it too. I was very upset that the administration lied about it when they first commented on it, because he did not approach the police gun drawn and he was not a domestic terrorist. So I don't appreciate dishonesty about the issue from the federal government. But that has nothing to do with the situation is the situation because there was not cooperation from local authorities.
And I just think the finger pointing has to stop. We got to move past that and figure out solutions so it never happens again, right?
Okay, we'll leave it there.
Stephen Colbert pulling no punches during his last few months on the air. What he said about CBS allegedly pulling one of his segments. Stay with us.